going to give you my review right now of the Winchester Mystery House attraction, which is an authentic, very old house built by Sarah Winchester, the heiress of the Winchester fortune. Her husband developed the Winchester, the gun that won the West, they call it. You could shoot like 6 times without having to reload. And that was extremely useful in the West. Many people died. Thanks to the Winchester is what Sarah Winchester had on her mind. So she felt really guilty. She received a sum of money of $20 million. This is the true story, it's not the movie. So she goes to a psychic on the East Coast and she asks this psychic, what should she do? She has $20 million, it's tax-free. Most psychics would say, oh, give it to me, I'll get rid of your problems. But this psychic perhaps wasn't too dishonest, or perhaps they weren't dishonest at all. They just told her what they, as a psychic and a medium, felt was true. Sarah Winchester is told by the psychic, move out west and build a house. Build a house and dedicate it to the spirits who died from the Winchester rifle. So that's where Sarah Winchester got that crazy idea to build a house and dedicate it to people that died, because she felt guilty. She clearly wasn't a gun person, yet her fortune was because of guns on one side of the family. She built this crazy house. Sarah Winchester clearly had some understanding of how spirits worked. But I can tell you this concerning the psychic's information to build a house for the spirits that died. It's false information, 100% false. That psychic was receiving false information from a negative entity, a demon, in my opinion, if they received any information. Maybe that psychic made up that information off the top of their head and they weren't psychic. They just rationalized some crazy scheme. I don't know. But if that information was given to a psychic, only a demon or an idiot making something up would say, move out west and spend your fortune building a mansion for the people that died. That makes no sense. But perhaps a demon gave that information to the psychic so they could set up some type of demonic house. That's what the Winchester Mystery House is. It's a freaking demonic house at this point. Sarah Winchester built doors that go nowhere. That's not demonic, that's just a little crazy. You open up the cabinet door and there's like this much space inside of it. You open up the door and there's this much space inside of it, it doesn't go anywhere. There's even a door that falls off the edge. And I saw that door that falls off the edge when I was a kid. So I've been to the Winchester Mystery House twice. And the first time I went there, I didn't notice anything. But the second time I went there for the Explore More tour, which has only been open since 2017. So it's a brand new tour. I recommend you check it out if you want to explore a little bit more. You're not exploring a lot more, just a little bit more. But it's still worthwhile because you get to see the room. Harry Houdini himself held a mock seance. I'm a huge fan of Harry Houdini. This is the only footage I was able to get of the Witch's Cap, the cone-shaped room where Harry Houdini conducted his mock seance at the Winchester Mystery House. It was very cool to visit. You can only see it during the Explore More tour. Harry Houdini was a great skeptic. He didn't believe in spirits. Guess what, Harry Houdini? This device detected a legitimate spirit. Anyway, the Winchester Mystery House is legitimately haunted. That's not too much of a groundbreaking revelation, but I detected that with my ability. I know for a fact it's haunted, despite the cliche of course it's haunted. It's legitimately actually haunted. Oh, you're interested in this story, huh? Sorry, direct communication almost. I'm going to move out of frame a little bit so you can see. I'm not doing this. I'm way over here. I'm not even close to over there. And it stopped. But the GoPro caught that information. This camera caught that. This caught that. Documentation on film of legitimate spirit activity. What was I talking about? The Winchester Mystery House, how I know it is 100% haunted. Even though it's a cliche, I know it's haunted because about 15 steps into the barn entrance, they called it, I believe, the stable entrance of the house. That's the entrance they're going to show you or take you through during the mansion tour. The mansion tour is the standard tour they've been doing for many, many, many years. I'll draw just a basic example of where I went. I walked into the main stable entrance, didn't notice anything. They showed us a tiny closet door where Sarah Winchester had this tiny door custom made for her. The whole house is custom made to her specifications. Sarah Winchester was about 4 feet tall, very, very short woman. They opened up a door in this first room that went nowhere to show how crazy the house is. And then you see a hallway which is pretty wide, and you see a carriage. So I walk in, see the carriage in this hallway, and then they take you into the house, and there's this entryway. It's really tiny. So every person has to go single file into this really tiny entryway. And the first step into this tiny entryway, it had huge drawers, wooden drawers painted white on the left. These drawers, there were 2 drawers, just that's it, 2. They were tall, they were fairly tall, and they're huge, very huge, like horse saddle drawers. Anyway, the first step, which is the right step, I put my right foot down on. I felt like my foot almost went in like some water or some jello. It was very weird. So I felt like a reverberation of evil and negative and creepy vibe, like I just stepped through a ghost. But when I stepped in this room, I felt just the whole room was creepy. And it's a very tiny room. So that was my first sense. This place is haunted. This room is haunted. The tiny entryway is haunted. So demonic entity was either sitting on those giant shelves to the left, or standing in the middle, allowing people to walk through it, perhaps to detect every single tourist that walked into the Winchester Mystery House. More specifically, I have concluded that it was definitely an intelligent entity, and it's standing there waiting to inspect every single tourist, single file, one by one, shows how intelligent the entity was. Because that's the most logical place for an entity that wanted people to walk through it. When you walk through a spirit, I think you can judge perhaps what kind of person you are. Little characteristics, perhaps how I sense a spirit. When a spirit walks through me, I can detect little things, tiny subtle things. Perhaps the negative spirit, and I know it's negative because it felt pure creepy. Creepy equals negative, negative equals evil spirit. A woman on the tour, the lady says she never heard this story in her life. She happens to be straggling behind, which is easy to do because the rooms wind and they're very twisty. If you're not at the front, you can miss half of what the tour guide says. But she kind of straggled behind the tour, maybe only a few feet, whatever the case may be. In the basement, she was on the Explore More tour. That's how I know it's less than a year old of a story, because they've only opened up the basement to the public for the Explore More tour since last summer of 2017. This woman saw in the corner of the room, of all things, the corner. Now, it's an area where coal is clearly dumped from a higher location. And coal is dumped into this coal collecting corner. And there are other corners, but it is legitimately a corner. It's just not the typical corner because it's designed to hold coal and to shovel coal out of. And the coal will be shoveled and put in the furnace, which is over here. She saw a man pushing a small wheelbarrow, a coal barrel, from the coal corner in the direction of the furnace. She said he was wearing a white jumpsuit and a black hat. And he wasn't transparent. He was just a regular guy in the dark pushing a coal cart. So at the end of the tour, which probably isn't too many minutes past where she saw this guy pushing a coal cart, the guy said, "Any questions?" And he said the same thing on my tour. And the lady said, "Oh yeah, well, I like the reenactors you have." And he's like, "What reenactors?" And she said, "Oh, the guy in the basement pushing the coal cart. It's pretty cool, the reenactor." And he said, "We don't have reenactors." And he ran to the basement as fast as he could. and there was no one there. This guy has been witnessed multiple times. On the TV show Ghost Adventures, I think if any of the evidence on the entire Winchester Mystery House, the second time they went back, Ghost Adventures episode is authentic, it's when they were shining flashlights at the carriage right next to the room that I know is legitimately haunted, where the demon hangs out watching every single tourist enter the tour, probably wondering, who should I haunt? Which one of these people would make a good candidate to appear to or haunt? And perhaps the lady that saw the wheelbarrow man ghost, perhaps she was in a certain state of mind, like a trance-like state. The restaurant and gift shop, they do serve wine and beer. Perhaps she had a few before. Not to say she was drunk, because she witnessed something other people have witnessed. So it's corroborating evidence. She actually saw what other people saw, proving something is there, something's happening. I think the demon hangs out at that entryway, and on Ghost Adventures, it sounds like poltergeist activity takes place. They're looking at the wagon, and they hear a ruckus. They hear a moving. It sounds like a door closing. It could be something banging against the drawers in what I know to be the haunted entryway. But they don't know that that entryway is haunted. So they looked around and they didn't know. But he was close enough to the haunted room where I think that activity might have come from the haunted room. But it's just so close of me knowing that's the haunted area and them hearing something. A lot of shows, they're going to make stuff up and stage stuff. But to stage something right next to the room, I know for a fact I detected as being haunted. It's too much of a coincidence. I think they did catch something. To watch the rest of this video, check out episode 1 of Mysterialis. New episodes of Mysterialis are coming soon. Subscribe now. I thank you for watching. This has been John Razimus. Be seeing you.